Welcome to the City Current Show. I'm your host, Jeremy Park. We're always honored to bring you inspiring stories of individuals and organizations making a difference and powering the good. And we love talking about New Memphis. We're here with Anna Ellis. She's the president and CEO of New Memphis. How are you doing, Anna?
I am great, Jeremy. It's so good to see you. Thank you for having me on.
Hey, absolutely. So I am a grad of the LDI program. We'll talk about that, but you have so much good that you all do, and you have a number of different programs, but how do you describe overall, give us some context for New Memphis?
Yeah, thank you. So I always describe what we do as thinking about a city. A city is no greater than the people who are in it. It's just a collection of people. So at New Memphis, we are very interested in making sure that our city has great leaders in every corner of our community. So whether you are a teacher leading in a classroom, you're an entrepreneur leading forward in business, you're a community leader, we want to make sure that you are connected to other leaders, that you know how to use your unique strengths and talents to better the future of our city, and you have the support and development opportunities you need to be your best self. I always just say, if you know what a Chamber of Commerce does, where they're trying to attract and grow businesses in a region, at New Memphis, we want to make sure that we're attracting and growing the people that really fuel our businesses, organizations in our city.
Love it. Give us an a la carte kind of teaser, if you will, on the different programs, and then we'll do a deep dive into some of them. So give us an a la carte menu of the different programs.
Yeah, so whoever you are, if you're listening, we have something for you. So we basically work with folks on what we call a professional spectrum. So whether you are a college student who is thinking about what kind of career you want to have and what your life is going to hold here in Memphis. You might be a young professional in your 20s, have a few years of work under you, what we call mid-career. So somebody who's been working for 10, 15 years and is thinking about their next steps. Or just like you might be a more senior level executive. We have an experience that's really tailored for all of those steps in your professional life. What is universal across all of our programs is each one is going to, on one hand, make sure that you are coming in, that you're going out, I should say, with greater strengths as a leader. So we're going to make sure that you have time to reflect on your leadership capacity. Who are you? What are you great at? Where do you have opportunity to grow? We're going to give you skills to be a better communicator, a better collaborator, to work on teams. So no matter what your job is, no matter how tenured you are in your company, you're going to walk away from a New Memphis program feeling like a stronger leader. The other thing that every program does is give you access to and understanding of the community that you're living in. So we want to make sure that, again, you're not just leading in your own organization, but that you are thinking about the role that you can play across Memphis in general. So we're going to tell you about the challenges that our city faces. We're going to help connect you to ways that you can meaningfully give back in Memphis. And we're also going to hopefully make sure that you have a connection to our city. We understand that when it comes to keeping people here, making Memphis magnetic means getting people connected. So if you are going to stay in Memphis, you're much more likely to be committed to our city if you're involved. You have a network of people that you connect with, that you are engaged in all of the things that we think Memphis is really should be really proud of. The things that whether those be organizations, people, even just the fun things like arts and culture and entertainment. Those are the things that make Memphis really sticky. So all of our programs sort of include both of those things. So you're, again, going to be a stronger leader. You're going to learn about your city, explore Memphis in unique ways.
I think leadership sometimes gets a vague reference when you talk about being able to sharpen the saw, sharpen the knife, so to speak. And I talk about my experience all the time in the sense that, you really go deep and you do the full 360 evaluation, and you go in and you bring in the experts and they're doing a deep dive so that you understand strategically, emotionally, rationally. Like you really better understand yourself, but you also understand, like you say, the larger framework. And so you get a chance to see your strengths and weaknesses. You get a chance to work on those. You get a chance to understand why you tick and make decisions so that you can make better decisions and be more self-aware, but also how others perceive you. And I think all of those are things that you can talk about them, but to experience it in the transformation is a whole nother thing. And then as you're laying on, the relationships that you build are powerful. The connection to community is powerful. The realization that you can be a catalyst for change and understand not only that you can do it, but where to start and how to build momentum for the benefit of the community. Those are the things that lead to increased confidence that then leads to you taking on even more of a leadership role. And so I think there's a lot of cultural and tangible things that really do make the experience at New Memphis different. That's my version. Give us maybe one.
No, that's perfect. You've articulated it so well, because I think it is a very personal experience. And I think that is one thing that, when people come out of a New Memphis program, we obviously ask them questions about how their experience was, and we try to get a sense of, did we accomplish what we wanted to? And it's really fascinating to hear the sort of anecdotal, the things that were really unlocked in somebody over the course of that experience. One thing that I think is generally true of great leaders is that they understand that they can always be better. So that is a lesson I have learned from the people coming through our programs, that you might be the CEO of a Fortune 500 company and still know I can get up tomorrow and be more effective. I can get up tomorrow and learn something new, be a better mentor, be more effective both in my personal and professional life. So these programs really lean into that and say, take as you said, a deeper look at yourself. It can feel very personal, which I think is intentional. You mentioned we do use assessments, so it's not just somebody teaching you, it is you kind of getting some tools, some data, quite honestly, to say, okay, here is, again, a 360 evaluation from my peers and my direct reports and my boss to help me think more clearly about where I can go. All of our programs use different tools like that. It's also all of the programs are really interactive. So it's not necessarily a traditional like lecture style, like, okay, someone's going to come in and imbue all of this great knowledge onto you. It's very much about learning from one another. The peer learning, I think, is a really important aspect. So in each one of our programs, you're going to be in a group of about 30 people. Some of the magic of it is that we try to put together classes of people who otherwise wouldn't have met. So Jeremy wouldn't be sitting in a class, and Jeremy knows everybody in Memphis, but you wouldn't be sitting in a class with other folks that work at City Current. You would be there with people that hopefully are strangers to you. And that is part of, as you said, kind of walking away with an invigorated network. But it's also, I think, knowing, being in a room with 29 other very smart and motivated leaders helps sharpen your blade. So that's you talking about, oh, I'm being challenged with this, problem in my work life. And then you hear from somebody else, like, of course, like we're also experiencing that, and getting to work out those problems together is a really special part of it. These are friendships that gets forged, and oftentimes they are lifelong friendships. And so one of my favorite things about my job at New Memphis is, as you noted, like the work does seem intangible in many ways. And the way that I usually describe it is just talking about the people who've done it, because I love hearing the stories. And I can go anywhere in Memphis. I can be at any office. I can be at City Hall or in the halls of AutoZone, and I will be talking to somebody who I haven't met, and they'll go, oh yeah, I did your fellows program in 2012, or oh yeah, I'm an LDI graduate from 2006. And it's something that is marked on them. They think of themselves as part of this community, and they just start sharing what are, again, are very personal stories about how this changed the trajectory of their life in I think really meaningful ways. And so it is, it's some folks come out of it and say, I met my business partner in a New Memphis class, or I joined this board that I've been involved in for the last decade. It inspired me to change jobs and, try something new. So all of that stuff kind of gets baked into it. And, I'll say to anybody listening, if you're interested, go to newmemphis.org. We detail all of those programs. Every one of the programs is tailored in different ways, as I said, for you at different points in your career. So if you're doing our program for young professionals, it's a shorter experience. It lasts for about 4 months. It's all in the evening, so it's a little more flexible for somebody who's earlier in their career. We have a program called the Fellows. That's a whole year, so that's a more intensive. Again, we have programs for college students that run each semester. So go to the website, you'll be able to go on your journey and say, oh, this is who I am. It may also be something for somebody within your life. So if you manage other people, if you have, whether personal or professional life, thinking about who you think could benefit from these programs. We really are fueled by nomination. So it's very much word of mouth. It's folks like you who've come through a program, had a compelling experience, and say, I really think that this other person in my life could benefit from that. So I encourage everyone to go to the website and learn a little bit more.
Absolutely. Talk about events, because you have a number of popular events, and some are very large and some are more customized. So talk about the different series of events, including you have a TEDx series as well. So talk about different events.
Yeah. So we've talked about the leadership programs. Again, those are sort of classroom style, 30 people. You apply to those programs, you get accepted, we build those classes. So it's a commitment. It's, I think, well worth the commitment. But if you are more interested in just kind of popping in, learning a little bit more about Memphis, we do run, we call community engagement events. So all of the events are aimed at helping connect you to your community in positive ways, helping you find ways to be more engaged in Memphis. So as you noted, things like we host a local TED conference. So that's where we bring local leaders to the TED stage to give a TED talk about an issue that's important to Memphis. It may be important to other cities across the globe, but an important issue that we're working on here. So bringing some of our best thinkers to share those ideas. For us, again, it's the first step in being a leader in your community is understanding what your community needs, understanding who's already working on our problems, who's already applying their brilliance to innovate for solutions, finding your ways to plug in. So TEDx is a good avenue for that. We also host a number of luncheons every year. We call those our Celebrate What's Right luncheons. As the name implies, we pick an issue that we feel like Memphis can authentically celebrate. Say, hey, I know we're not where we want to be in public education, but here are 4 brilliant people who are working on really innovative solutions to make sure that every kid in our community is getting a quality education. So we'll host a conversation. Usually it's a panel discussion. Sometimes we'll have keynotes, but those are open to the public. As you and I were discussing before we went on air, events are challenging right now. So a lot of our events are either virtual or hybrid. We are moving back to in person. We've been doing a lot of stuff outside, which doesn't work in the cold months of February, but we had our last TED conference was actually at the Levitt Shell outdoors in the fall. So we're trying to get creative. One of the challenging parts about doing our work in the era of a pandemic is, being engaged in your community is really hard when you can't be out in your community safely. And, we often intentionally try to intercept people who are new to our city because we know it's hard to be a new person in a new place. And we try to sort of hold their hand to get them acquainted with Memphis and meet people. And I know this has been exceptionally hard for those folks right now. So we are doing our best to make sure that we can bring people together in person safely, because we know that that's really, what community is. It's being together. It's the sort of organic relationships that pop up. But you can go to newmemphis.org. All of those events are there in our event tab. If you do know somebody who's new to the city, it's a great way to help them, again, low stakes. They can pop in. A lot of the events are really crafted for somebody who really needs to better understand Memphis. All of them are fun. So that's another kind of pillar of our work where we're like, hey, you're not going to love Memphis if you aren't having a good time. So we want to get you out to the places in Memphis that are, again, just exciting, that really resonate for folks. Some of the events are more geared towards young professionals. Some of them are for everybody. So that will be immediately obvious as you look at each event. We usually have something at least every month, if not more frequently. So we've got a robust calendar already for the year, and you can go register for each of those events. You can share them with your friends and colleagues.
It's true for all of us, and especially for those who are new to the city. But when you look at the glue, the stickiness, what's going to keep you in the community, it's relationships. And so the quicker you can, be immersed and build those relationships, those friendships, you're going to feel like you're a part of the community. And that's going to be the thing that binds all of us. And, when you talk about talent retention, that's a big piece of the equation. So I greatly appreciate everything you're doing around building those relationships, opening access, making it easy for people to plug in. I'm curious on the pandemic side, as you mentioned, events are challenging. I feel like we've learned so many leadership lessons through this. humility is one, understanding that as
Yeah.
leaders, we don't have all the answers, and we're going to have to continually innovate and come up with different solutions. And what we knew yesterday may not apply today. What's something that you've learned through the pandemic that you think ultimately is going to make New Memphis stronger coming out? What's something that you've learned on a kind of a leadership lesson?
That's such a good question. So many lessons from these last 2 years. I think the one that's really stuck with me and that I keep circling back to is that out of challenge and shakeups is opportunity. And I think that's true for New Memphis as an organization, but I think it's really true for Memphis as a city. You know, we're all going to come out of this in different ways. You know, we're certainly keeping our eye on what are the big changes that are going to persist in a world, you know, knock on wood, when we are hopefully not dealing with COVID spikes and variants, but to say, okay, well, the world has changed, and looking at the patterns of how people work and how people connect and where people live. You know, I think that's something that we're certainly keeping an eye on. It's such a nonprofit cliche to say, you know, now more than ever, we need this work. But I do feel that when I look at the New Memphis mission, I feel like it is more relevant and urgent than it was pre-COVID, because you know, our companies are challenged in lots of unique ways. I think, you know, we're certainly thinking about what is it going to mean if, you know, half of our local companies say, hey, you can work from anywhere and still be employed by this company. Is that a threat to Memphis? I see it as an opportunity. And again, that's where I want to lean in and say, look, I think Memphis has a ton to offer. We have a lot of unique opportunities coming out of this that may not have been fully realized if we hadn't gone through COVID. So that's one thing that I have really tried to cling to. And as all of our partners and everybody in the city sort of, you know, we all get a little panicky as we think, okay, what's going to be next? I'm just trying to keep our eyes on the horizon and say, you know, through this, there will be things that we don't expect. But if we're looking for the silver lining and the positive outcomes, I think that's what's exciting.
Wrap up with contact information. You've mentioned it a couple of times, but website, social media, phone numbers, where do we go to learn more and obviously start plugging in and taking advantage of the different programs and events and everything that you all do?
Yes, excellent. So again, newmemphis.org is the website. You can also very easily there just drop your email address. We have a weekly newsletter that has all of those opportunities, event invites, reminders about programs as they're starting. So that is the best way. I think we just, you know, drop a little reminder in your inbox. It's easy for you to forward to other folks as you see opportunities that may not be for you, but for somebody that you know. We are across all of your social media platforms. We're at the New Memphis on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, I believe LinkedIn as well. You will know whenever I talk about social media, like, I'm not the one running it. I try to steer clear, but our team does a great job. So wherever you are comfortable, in terms of platforms, we are there for you. Again, we have, you know, come back month to month. If you don't see something you like this month, you'll see something you like next month.
Well, you do tremendous good, and greatly appreciate everything you're doing with New Memphis. You have an amazing team. So Anna, thank you for everything you're doing.
Thank you so much, Jeremy. This is such a delight, and we're such big fans of City Current and all the work that you guys do. So thank you for all that you do, and I hope to be back again soon.